Why not?
Something I'm finding out is that it is absolutely hard for people who belong to churches, people who consider themselves Christians, to face the fact that Charlie Kirk, TPUSA are racist and racist organizations. So I have a niece who's kind of going through a little bit with her church right now and just kind of waking up to some of the things that are going on within the church. You know, I've been saying often that a lot of times the church gets their talking points from, Fox News, or that's where they get their ideas to decide, who they want to pray for, what's important in the world, and so forth. And she, on her own, saw the TPUSA post that they were going to be having their own Super Bowl halftime show. And she called me and she's like, "Uncle, it's absolutely racist." She's like, "They're calling it the All-American Halftime Show." And she's like, "Bad Bunny is American, so why would they," basically the things that I believe. And I said, and it's funny to watch her kind of go through this because it's things I've kind of said about a lot of churches that I haven't said to her because she's a very good, faithful person who believes in God, who believes in being a good Christian. And I didn't want to turn her away from that in any type of way. So typically I listen to her and we talk about things. And she's 28 years old. So it's not like I'm talking about a 13-year-old or anything like that. So she decided to post some things on Instagram about it. And she's like, "Listen, if this were an alternative to Bad Bunny because they wanted a very, Christian halftime show, I would be okay with the church saying, hey, we, in any case, if the church believed that a show wasn't Christian enough and they wanted to, hey, this is where Christians are coming to watch a show," she said that would not bother me. Because as a person who believes in God and who believes things should be better or whatever, I don't have a problem with that. But she said, this is not that. This is obviously about this person being Latino, speaking Spanish, and not being, what they consider American when he is American because Puerto Rico is a part of America. So she posted those things. So she got a bit of pushback from a couple of people in her DMs, but one was from a Latina girl who said she listens to Bad Bunny and she just doesn't think that an organization of Christians would be putting anything out there because of race. And my niece told her, it's hard to believe, but it's what's happening. She's like, think about it for a second. They said it's an all-American halftime show. They even have in their comments, what do you guys want to see? Do you guys want, pop performers? Do you want country performers? Or do you want worship performers? So my niece pointed out, if this was just about worshiping God, worship performers wouldn't be an option. It would be the choice that the church would be making. She said, there are people within the church, people who are followers of TPUSA, followers of Christ, who are saying things like, ICE should be there to deport Bad Bunny. And she's like, why would they say that if this has nothing to do with race? This has everything to do with race. And she's talking to me about this, and I think sometimes she looks to me for guidance. And again, obviously I have different opinions of the church and an organized religion than she does. And I just tell her, listen, you got to pay attention. Pay attention to the things that they do. We had a conversation about how they wanted to pray for, or they had a second to pray for Charlie Kirk. They had a second to pray for the Ukrainian lady who was killed by the black guy on the subway. I told her, I said, recently a fan of Charlie Kirk's ran over two girls in a town that were on their bikes, killed them both. I said, I wonder if you asked your pastor to pray for these two young women, if he would say yes. And also, like he did with the Ukrainian woman and with Charlie Kirk, give some background of it. I don't think they would. And honestly, I don't want her to go to the church with that because I honestly don't know if I actually want her to know, like, to be slapped in the face with the reality that her church is being kind of racist, very partisan, and so forth. And it just, it's something that I've been realizing with the conversations I'm having with people of faith about Charlie Kirk. They just can't come to terms with someone that they put on this Christian pedestal, someone that they really think is this great person, great Christian, could actually be racist or sexist. And so when they hear it, that's why they say things like, oh, you're taking that out of context, or that's not what he meant. Because if anyone else said that, if they heard a person on the street corner saying the things that Charlie Kirk said, they would say that's racist, that's sexist, that's misogynistic. But because it's him, they just can't. And so a lot of people, and I know there are people who've told me this as well, who agree with me. They're sitting in church and they're starting to go, I just don't know if I can do this anymore. I don't know if I can do this because these people who I look up to, who I really believe are people of faith, are people who are walking, the walk with Christ, are dismissing things that I know are racist and misogynistic and sexist. So it was just something I was thinking about, had that conversation with my niece, and I'm trying my best to navigate this with her and allow her to stay a Christian and a person of faith, because I know that's what she wants to be. But I know sitting in that church sometimes she's starting to question if the people that she respects and looks up to really do have the same beliefs that she does. Period.
Don't want no enemies or ops. Envy in their heart, I tell them stop. Vacation on the yacht.